Hi, I'm Chris, and this is The Authority on Zero. Uh, this is my second episode. Hopefully, it's better than my first. So, with it being the new moon tonight and it being in Leo, right, and the Lion's Gate portal being open, in the cosmic realm of things, I didn't do air quotes, I did jazz hands. Um, I want to talk about a quote that I heard recently that has changed my mindset drastically has changed my mindset, and I think about it quite a bit. Um, and it is live like lions, be strong and intense, be relaxed and rested, right? So I'm going to hit a few topics today. I'm going to try to um, not get all over the place because that's what I do. Also, I talk with my hands a lot, so you're going to see that. So I can't apologize for being so animated. Um, so, with that being said, going back to this Lions thing, right? The first episode, if you haven't seen it, just a recap of it, I talked about my existential crisis that I went into in late July. Um, had a few things happen. I have been on a weight loss journey and I started losing a lot of weight, but the scale was staying the same, but my measurements were changing, right? And it became exciting, but then I had this goal weight and I hit that goal weight. So I started my journey at 337.4, and then I got to 299.2, right? Which was awesome, because then, hey, we got 38 pounds, right? 38 pounds down. That's huge. From April 1st of 2020 to August 1st of 2020, 4 months, I hit this mark, and and I fluctuate here and there, right? But you know, long story short, I started going through this existential crisis because I have been so big for so long, right? I wasn't always a 300-pound guy, even I don't know, in my early 20s or whatever, but like towards my mid 20s I started indulging in alcohol, eating food, working a midnight shift, which is terrible for your sleep. I wasn't sleeping properly, and I could make all kinds of excuses in the world, but the reality is I was also incredibly lazy at that age. I didn't It's not that I didn't want to work, it's that I wanted to make money and I didn't want to do anything to make that money, right? I didn't want to better myself or anything like that. I was living in resentment. I was living with a lot of resentment. And, kind of what I'm facing still to this day is that one of my biggest challenges that I have to overcome is that I deal with resentment, especially toward family, right? And my family knows this, is why I talk about it. And, they kind of learn to live with it. And I never speak ill of them or anything like that. It's just I'm resentful towards some of our past, which I've had to unpack and get rid of and blah, 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 blah. But that's not for this one, right? But I lived with that kind of resentment, and it's just no way to live your life because all you do is you just let things fester and rot, and it gets into your soul and it starts breaking things up, right? It starts, it, it's a disease. Like a boil, right? It gets there and it starts growing and it gets ugly and nasty, right? But it just goes throughout your whole entire body, throughout your whole entire soul, and that mindset starts transforming everything. So well, there are some um genetics, I'm sure we could argue. I believe that the reason I became so big was because I was so resentful, and um, I was remorseless for being so resentful, um, and just kind of a nasty human being. So I started changing that, a couple years ago. I started realizing, there was some stuff that just wasn't firing, and then towards the end of, I started feeling comfortable with myself, confident, and all that stuff. But there's just some things that were missing, right? But then I had my 37th birthday on July 13th, and then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna keep firing. I'm gonna keep hitting these marks. Uh, but I hit this mark and it just did something weird to me. I hit this goal and suddenly I'm like, who am I? I had that existential crisis. Um, and I guess the thing is that it's not a big deal. I don't care who I am. I just care who I am being. And when I say this, I mean who I am right now, because I know what I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know who I am capable of being. But, right now, I don't think that any of that stuff matters. I don't think that what I am matters. I don't think that who I am matters. Um, I don't even think the whys really matter unless it pertains to the goals that I'm pursuing. Why am I being this way? Well, we can figure it out. It's a simple matter of thought and figuring it out. It's not rocket science to figure that stuff out. It's a matter of learning my primary emotions and going from there and figuring it out. I don't know how many more times I got to say figure it out, but yeah. So anyway, as existential crisis mode, here we are a couple days later, and we're unpacking all these things. And I guess today is a great day for change. It's a great day to unpack things, to remove the mental constipation, the emotional constipation, the spiritual constipation, and get all that shit out, right? So that's what I've been working on today, without being in my head, but being mindful about what I'm doing. And I think we need to take a second and start talking about the boring parts of our journeys, right? We talk about the sexy parts because we want that acceptance. I know I show a lot of people my results, right? But they don't know how I got there. They don't know, with losing weight and all that stuff. They don't know that I've recalibrated my diet several times unless they're part of my inner circle. They don't know that I've had to recalibrate workouts and things like that, and I've actually had to learn how to work out in the midst of working out. I've had to learn body mechanics. That's actually something that I'm doing right now. If you look behind me, there's my whiteboard right there. That's all based on body mechanics, so I can be a stronger, more competent me in my body, in my physical self, right? So yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's all a beautiful ride, but it's also a boring ride in between those goals, and it's never really considered to be the sexy part of the journey. It's like we get Luke, who goes to what is it, Dagobah, to meet Yoda. I know people are going to be so disappointed in me because I love the old school Star Wars, the original Star Wars, but outside of that, whatever. But I used to watch them. Yeah, just nonstop. And now it's like I forgot all about them, you know. But Empire, right? So we have Luke, and he goes and he meets Yoda, and this is where he's becoming the Jedi. He's understanding that he is something bigger, that he has a calling. He began to unlock that understanding at the beginning of A New Hope, right? He wasn't a Jedi yet. He just knew that there was a such thing as a lightsaber, and he went on this mission, and he there he was, and he went to go fight Vader and all that. Well, actually, Obi-Wan went to go fight Vader, and when he saw Obi-Wan disappear, right, he knew Obi-Wan wasn't spinning shit for him, and that he had to go find Master Yoda, and take on his Jedi training, right? But the problem is that we look at the Yoda stuff, and it's incredibly boring because, well, what is he doing? He's doing like the basic things. The same thing with Daniel LaRusso from the Karate Kid, right? He's getting his ass kicked by the kid from the Cobra Kai, and Mr. Miyagi's telling him, wax on, wax off, right? Why am I doing this housework? LaRusso gets so pissed. Same thing with Luke. He's frustrated. He's whiny, right? So we got Luke, we got LaRusso, those guys in the hero's journey, and they're both so whiny, and that's kind of where I went, is into that whiny kind of bitching mode, where I was like, oh man, why can't this just be done, blah blah blah. Well, the problem is that I've put myself in a situation where now I have to wake up to certain things, and I have to answer the call, right, to correct things. And that's okay. That's not a big deal. But yeah, so here I am on my hero's journey, and these things are things that I want to share with you, because maybe my bullshit will help you get through your bullshit, right? I don't want to use the word suffering because I personally don't feel like I'm suffering. I feel like I'm frustrated, right? And there's a big difference between being frustrated and between suffering, right? There's a difference between being hungry and starving. Um, and right now I'm frustrated, but I am starving for this next phase of my life, right? And it's not change for the sake of change. It's to, oh goodness, how do I say this? It's to become my authentic self, my natural self, right? That's what I'm trying to get at, is my nature. I feel like I have shut off my nature, and I have allowed everything externally to close out everything that's esoterically me, right? And now that I'm waking all these things in the esoterical sense, um, it's like you're waking up in a sea of shit, right? There's tons of stuff around you. And now I got to move mountains, right? And nobody wants to move mountains of crap. The problem is that this is my crap, right? I created this. I manifested all this, and now I'm waking up and I'm like, "Oh no. This is not what I want," right? Even though I'm manifesting more good things, I'm waking up to things, right? Here I am, and I have to get through this, right? And this is part of my journey, and I embrace it and I relish it. And it's the boring part. It's not the sexy part. It's the part where I'm shoveling shit, right? To make my way back out into nature, to make my way back out into the world that I want to be a part of, that I want to create, right? I just don't have the capacity to be part of this faux world. This oh gosh, I don't even know how to say it, right? Like it's this unnatural element of humanity that we're experiencing right now. This unhappiness, this behind a screen life. Um, and I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying to say anything political or anything like that. I'm just talking about my own experience. My experience is that I'm tired of that life. I don't love it. I have zero love for it. I have zero respect for that kind of life. And I'm just waking up to being who I am. And I met someone who just being in their presence opened me up to, you know, this person's met me, but now I'm going to change. And like there was so much fear uh, at that time when I met them, and I knew when I met them that I had to change. It's not that they were the catalyst; it's maybe that they were the road sign, right? The caution sign, right? Whatever it may be. But I'm not doing this because of that person. I'm doing this because when I open my eyes, I realize that I can make myself attractive, but I am not attracted to myself. Um, and that was a hard thing for me to admit. I just admitted this last week. Now, I've said something very similar in the past, right, on social media and things like that. But the honest and truest thing that I could say is that I am not attracted to myself. I do things that I feel make me more attractive. The way I do my hair, I like the way I do my hair. I like my beard. I like the clothes that I wear. I don't like my body because my body reminds me of abuse that I've taken. It reminds me of the abuse that I've given myself. So it reminds me of the external abuse, the internal abuse. It's a prison to me, right? And I realize that my time is over, and I want out of this prison. And the only way to get out of this prison is to do the work that's involved to get myself out of it, right? And again, this isn't being harsh. This is being self-aware. This is being self-loving and self-caring, I guess. I kind of getting sick of that term, but what's a better, self-sufficient? I mean, just self-everything, right? Being involved in the self. Um, that's who I am. I want to be. I mean, look, rebel heart, gypsy soul, right? It's corny, but that's how I feel on the inside, right? I just I can't love the status quo. I can't I can't love complacency, and um, I don't want to be a part of the status quo. I don't want to be a part of the complacency, and again, that's where that rebel heart and gypsy soul thing comes from. It's just who I am, uh, even though I just said the who I am doesn't matter, right? But I'm sure you get what I'm saying. It's like my personality type, right? Like my other personality type. I'm an introvert, right? INFJ, if you do the, what is it, Briggs and Myers or whatever you call it. Or I'm type A personality. I've taken that personality test too, right? So um, basically, what's happened in my life is that in a short amount of time, I got pulled in so many different ways, that way and this way and that way and that way and that way and that way, right? And being pulled in so many different ways, even though I'm going on the same path, I got lost, right? I got disoriented. And in the midst of becoming disoriented, I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Like, I just got so frustrated. I got so pissed off. And I just had to evade all life, right? Um, and that's not how we're supposed to live. We're not supposed to run from life. We're supposed to experience life. So I had to evade life. And then I had to experience it on my own because I had to do some growing that I just don't feel I could have done had I been around everyone that I wanted to be around and everyone that I currently miss, and I hope that they understand and they're forgiving and that they know that I miss them terribly, but I unapologetically have to I have to change and I have to grow and I have to um, go through this transition, right? Um, you know, and it makes me sad because I miss people, but also I'm so happy because I am becoming my authentic self and I'm feeling more like myself. I'm feeling more the human I am meant to be rather than the human that I lived as, right? I just lived with a mask. And it wasn't my mask, right? It was just a face that I put on to go out and try to assimilate into the world that just isn't my world. And I'm not the only person to do this. There's so many of us. Almost all of us do this, right? We put on the fake face so we can go to work and do a job that we don't want to do, right? It's a story as old as time, right? At least it's at least the American story, right? The more recent American story, or Western culture story, right? Because I'm sure there's people everywhere who do the things that they don't want to do, and they do it because essentially that's just the program, right? And I'm telling you, I'm fucking breaking out, right? I'm done, and these are just weird times for me, and while I miss everybody terribly, I'm just so excited that I'm able to grow myself and I'm able to create something new out of something old, right? Um, so, on that note, I'm getting a little disoriented, but I guess another thing, right? If you're watching this, what I'm really doing is I'm making these videos for my future self. This is a message to the future Chris. Um, I hope that you can appreciate what the present Chris is doing the same way I appreciate what the Chris from April 1st did for me now. That guy had so much fear and so much rejection of his own self that he kept trying to make a fake confidence, right? Just so he could get started on something. And, very much um, I feel so. I don't want to use the word bad, right? I don't feel bad, but my heart goes out to that version of myself because that person is the person who made me me. It's the reason I'm down a size is because that person decided to sacrifice themselves. So I hope that the future Chris can appreciate the sacrifices that I'm making right now, and I hope that this doesn't go in vain, and that you take up the gauntlet as well, the same way the Chris from April 1st picked up the gauntlet, the same way I'm picking up the gauntlet now. And I'm doing things, right, in the present so I can be, right? I am just being right now so you can be you and you can have a better life than what I have now, which is a pretty good life. It's really sweet that I get to do what I get to do. I'm privileged in every sense of the term. Um, I'm not wealthy, right? I'm not. I mean, I don't think I have a super cool car, but to other people, my car is the most awesome car. You know, uh, I don't I don't have the best house, but to some other people, my house is the Taj Mahal. You know, so with that being said, you know, I'm just today using today as a day to dump everything, right? The spirituality that brought me guilt, that is gone because it serves no purpose for me, and also it's just not something that I believe anymore. They're I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that God says, "Hey, yes, I love you, but you're guilty, and because I love you, you are indebted to me." Right? Silly. That's silly, right? And that's not the love I want. That's not the God that um, that's not the God I subscribe to. So anyway, I'm just ranting, right? So, but yes, that's what this is all about. These are all future messages to myself, and these are just me in the present talking to whoever's out there in the ether listening to this, because I just want you to know that I love you and that we're so compacted with fear right now. Fear is so ingrained in everything that we do that we have to be afraid of what's happening. And I'm telling you, it's bullshit, right? You know it's bullshit. And it's time that we're not fearful anymore, because fear does nothing, right? It kills our soul. It binds us. It's oppression, right? It's slavery. Um, and fear is not control, right? Fear is not a great way to control people. Um, but we have love, right? And love is liberation, right? Accountability is love, right? And love is hard. Love is not the easy route. Fear is the easy route. Fear is the sexy side of things, right? Because it's because of fear that we start becoming our possessions, we start becoming our material, and we start finding value in the things that do nothing for us, right? Fear is disgusting. Fear is not what we want to be made up of at all. And love is a hard thing, because now, once we start love, we have to start with ourselves, right? Um, so we start learning how to love this and how to care for it, right? And I've said that I'm not attracted to this right here, this big body, but it's going away, so I can be attracted to it. I'm working towards being attracted to myself, right? I'm having this relationship with myself and creating attractiveness. But you know, to say, well, that's not a form of self-love, but it is. Au contraire, I disagree with you. I love myself so much that I am working on becoming the person that I want to be in my heart. My natural state is who I am flowing to, right? Um, and everything that you're hearing me say has been said ad nauseum, right? It's just regurgitated words that I'm expressing to you, right? And there's a passion in my heart right now, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. But this is nothing new under the sun that I could say, right? But yeah, man, like love is so hard, and you know, it's also easy because it's natural, right? Fear is unnatural, but there's been a great conditioning to teach us how to be fear over cautious, right? We don't want to become involved with somebody because we are so afraid of heartbreak. Yet, we could love someone just as easily. And if we love ourselves, we know how to invest our love. We know who to invest our love into, right? Just like me. I love myself. There's no doubt in my mind that I love Christopher, right? I am smart. I have a huge heart, right? I'm not a quitter. I don't quit on people unless they kind of push me to the point where I say, okay, well, clearly you don't want me here, right? But I don't give up. I don't back down, right? Punch me in the face, knock me down 8 times. I'm going to stand up 9. Break my heart 7 times. I'm going to love 8, right? That's just how it is. And it's still hard. Love is still hard, you know? But it's not as sexy as fear, because fear controls us. You know what I mean? Fear is a cage, right? And sometimes it's cool to be that little bird in the cage, because then you got your food and your water and everything's copacetic, and all you got to do is trade away your ability to fly. It's not so sexy anymore, is it? Right? And I choose love. I choose the hard route. I choose the garden that I got to go in there and pull out the weeds, and I got to destroy my hands, bloody hands, uh, blistered hands. Going through there, destroying the land just to make something beautiful. I choose love. I choose building. I choose growth, and I choose passion. I choose romance, and I choose life, because that's what love is. Love is life, and life is love. But fear is death. Fear is hatred. It is every horrible thing in the world, and whew, yeah, the thought of it just makes me cringe. Right here, I am in my barn, and I'm just, I'm like, ugh, the thought of fear, the thought of living in the fear that I just had to remove from my life, because it was ingrained into me, is indoctrinated into me to be fearful, is so gross, and it's ugh, yeah, it's not. There's nothing sexy there. It just seems sexy because it can provide you everything, right? If you're fearful enough, you'll work for a company for 30 years and you'll be miserable. But hey, you got a house, you got a car, you had groceries on the table every week, right? All you had to do is trade you for that. And I am reclaiming myself, because I love myself that much, that I am the prize. And fear has put me into this body, but love will liberate me out of it, right? So, on that note, this has been the second episode of Authority on Zero. Thank you for watching. Sorry it's so long-winded, but these are my thoughts and my hopes and all the things that I want to put out into the world, because we are worth it, and I am worth it. And again, if my thoughts can help your thoughts, then I want you to get a win from me. So thank you. Next time, we'll see you around.